Radha Madhava Kunjabi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Madhava Gopi Jana Balabha Girivardhani Gopi Jana Balabha Girivardhani Gopi Jana Balabha Girivardhani Gopi Jana Balabha Girivardhani Jashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Jashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Jamana Tira Vanachadi Jamana Tira Vanachadi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Balabha Girivardhani Girivardhani Gopi Jana Balabha Girivardhani Girivardhani Jashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Jashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Jamanatira Vanachadi Jamanatira Vanachadi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Prabhupada ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Gora Premanandi Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya There's a very interesting closure to chapter 36. There's a drama that was written by Ramananda Roy called Sri Jagannath Vallabha, and the reference to Urishta is there in Act 5, so I'm just going to read. Krishna, proudly lifts one arm. This is the drama. Then he says, "This arm is a great mountain to crush the arrogant Arishta demon. This arm is a great post in the Indra Yagya for bringing pain to enemies. When my arm is vigilant and awake, what fear can touch the residents of Vraja, who always completely take shelter of me? Aha! If this Arishta plays with me, how much will his life be worth?" And proudly Krishna goes off stage. And then from behind the stage, a voice is heard. "Alas! Alas!" One more time. "Alas! Unable to bear the rivalry of the mountain peaks, Arishta's horns rip many great mountains into pieces. Those horns have now made a target of Lord Mukunda, whose young body is as delicate as a blue lotus flower." Entering onto the stage, Mandanika, one of Radha's gopis, looking on with tears in her eyes. "Oh, earth, what an incomparable heavy burden you must bear now. Oh, demigods, where have all your hopes for victory gone now? Oh, people of Vraja, what has happened to the good tidings of your transcendental happiness? Oh, Mother Yashoda, what will become of you now? Oh, Nanda Maharaj, oh, people of Vraja, what will become of all of you now? Oh, Radha, for you the entire universe has now become a desolate wasteland. Alas, alas, now we are all dead." Radha, anxiously listening. "Alas, alas, I am so unfortunate. This is a great calamity that wicked destiny imposes upon me." Shashimukhi calms her down. "Friend, do not be unhappy. Mukunda is right here. He is unharmed." A voice from behind the stage. "When Arishta appeared, the three worlds hid. When he stood, they fell down. When he moved about, the winds declined to move in the sky. Krishna playfully tossed Arishta far out of the Vrindavan forest, as if the demon had become a toy ball in his hand. By killing Arishta, Lord Mukunda freed the universe from a great calamity and made it auspicious and happy again." And one more. This is Sanatan Goswami's Krishna Lila Stava. It's a really nice writing. It has many nice things. So it's just stavas, little short prayers. And this is from the section 54 obeisances. So 54 little sayings glorifying Krishna. So this is in relation to the Arishta pastime. Just to give you an idea, this is text 315. It's really long. But it's glorifying Krishna's name and Krishna's associates and Krishna Lila Stava. "O Lord Krishna, when all the residents of Vraja were frightened by Arishtasura, you reassured them. You called out to that bull demon and waved your arms, angering him. O Lord Krishna, you tore out the bull demon's horns. Kill him, and thus remove the calamity which had afflicted Gokula. O Lord Krishna, Narada told Kamsa about your actual nature, and the sage gave him bad advice. Kamsa requested Akrura to bring you to him. O Lord, please protect me. Thus ends chapter 36 of Canto 10. And now we're going to go to the next chapter, which is 37. And this is dealing with the Kesi demon. That's the title. The killing of the demon Kesi and Vyoma. So here's a chapter summary. Chapter 37. This chapter describes the killing of the horse demon Kesi, Narada's glorification of Lord Krishna's future pastimes, and Krishna's killing of Vyomasura. On Kamsa's order, the Kesi demon assumed the form of a huge horse and went to Vraja. As he approached, his loud neighing terrified all the inhabitants, and they began looking for Sri Krishna. When he saw the demon, Krishna came forward and challenged him to come near. Kesi charged Krishna and tried to strike him with his front legs. But the Lord seized them, whirled the demon around several times, and threw him a distance of 100 bow lengths. Kesi remained unconscious for some time. When the demon regained consciousness, he furiously charged Krishna again, his mouth agape. The Lord then thrust his left arm, same one he used for lifting Govardhan, into the horse demon's mouth, and as Kesi tried to bite the arm, it felt like a red-hot iron rod. Krishna's arm expanded more and more, finally choking the demon, and in extreme agony, Kesi gave up his life. Lord Krishna then removed his arm. He stood calmly, showing no pride at having killed the demon, as the demigods showered down flowers from the sky and glorified the Lord with prayers. Paragraph. Soon thereafter, Narada Muni, the great sage among the demons, approached Krishna and prayed to him in various ways, glorifying the Lord's future pastimes. Then Narada paid his obeisances and departed. Interesting, next paragraph. One day, while tending the cows, Krishna, Balaram, and the cowherd boys became engrossed in playing hide and go seek. Some of the boys took the role of sheep, some the role of thieves, and others shepherds. The shepherds would search for the sheep when the thieves stole them. Taking advantage of this game, the demon, named Vyoma, sent by Kamsa, dressed himself like a cowherd boy and joined the band of thieves. He abducted a few cowherd boys at a time and threw them into a mountain cave, keeping them there by blocking the entrance with a boulder. Gradually, Vyomasura abducted all but 4 or 5 cowherd boys. And that's a lot of cowherd boys. Remember how many there were. He must have been really busy. When Krishna saw what the demon was doing, he ran after him, grabbed him, and killed him, just like one would kill a sacrificial animal. End of chapter. So we're just going to read a little bit from the beginning of verses 1 and 2. And don't mind repetition, because chapter summary includes some of the verses, some of the commentaries, as some of the commentaries say something very similar to the others. I'm going to read them all. Text 1 and 2 of chapter 37. Shukadeva Goswami said, the demon Kesi, sent by Kamsa, appeared in Vraja as a great horse, running with the speed of the mind. He tore up the earth with his hooves. The hairs of his mane scattered the clouds, and the demigods' airplanes throughout the sky. And he terrified everyone present with his loud neighing. When the Supreme Personality of Godhead saw how the demon was frightening his village of Gokula by neighing terribly and shaking the clouds with his tail, the Lord came forward to meet him. Kesi was searching for Krishna to fight, so when the Lord stood before him and challenged him to approach, the horse responded by roaring like a lion. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes the commentary for first 1 and then 2. The 37th chapter describes the killing of Kesi, Narada praising Krishna's future pastimes, the thieving activities of Yomasura, and the killing of Yomasura. In the text 2, Krishna called out to the demon who had been sent by Kamsa. Kesi made the earth tremble with the stomping of his hooves. Shaking his mane, he disturbed the clouds and the Devas airplanes. His neighing instilled fear in all people. His tail hair disturbed the sky. And it says shaking his mane, he disturbed the clouds and the airplanes of the demigods. His loud neighing instilled fear in all people. He shook the clouds with his tail. Jiva Goswami's commentary on these two verses. With the hairs, or sata, of his mane, he scattered the clouds and airplanes. Thus, he was called Kesi, or possessing hairs. When the Lord saw the demon was frightening his village of Gokula, the Lord came forward to meet him as he shook the clouds with his tail, searching for Krishna. When Krishna stood before him, he called the horse with similar neighing, and Kesi replied, roaring like a lion. The demon was causing terror in Krishna's Vraja, Sva Gokulam. This is described by Vaishampayana, quote, with the sound of a lion, angry Kesha, impelled by time, came to the cowherd village one morning. Seeing him, all the cowherds, along with the women and infants, fled. That's Vaishampayana's description. How to describe Gokula? It was the shelter of prema, though it was completely terrified by Keshi's neighing. Or Krishna called to the horse with similar neighing. Leaving the frightened villagers behind him, Krishna went on the path to the Jamuna and came face to face, agrani, with Kesi. This place is famous as Keshigat on the Jamuna, north of Govinda Sthana. Vraja Purana, in glorifying the Jamuna, says, quote, there is a place 100 times purer than the Ganga, where Kesi was killed. Vishnu Purana says, hearing the words of the people, save us, save us, Krishna spoke in a voice deep as thunder clouds. Do not fear, O cowherds. Why do you have fear of Kesi? Because of him, your courage has disappeared? What is the use of this wicked horse, which has no strength, is proud, and gallops around, taking strength from the demons? And Harivangsha says, seeing Kesi, the horse demon desired to attack him. Krishna attacked him, just as a cloud covers the moon. Seeing Kesi approach Krishna, and thinking of Krishna as an ordinary person, the cowherds, thinking of his safety, said, "Oh, Krishna, do not approach that wicked horse. You are a child, and he is unconquerable. He is Kamsa's original life heir in external form. He is the best of the king of horses, incomparable in fighting. He causes fear in all armies, is the strongest of horses, cannot be killed by any being, and is the greatest sinner." That was Harivangsha. Kesi is compared to the moon in Harivangsha because he was white. Sanatana Goswami's commentary, the word tu, tu, indicates that Kesi is distinct from Arishta. He is described. By his nature, he was extremely evil. Because of that, he was sent by Kamsa. Constantly crushed the earth and ran as swift as the mind. His name is explained. His mane scattered the clouds. And the demon was causing terror in Krishna's Vraja, Gokulam. Gokulam means also all the cows and cowherds. He came in the morning when the cows were grazing in Vrindavan. This took place on the bank of the Yamuna, for later it is mentioned, Bhagavan Api Govindaha, the Lord who tends the cows. This event is described, so then it gives these references. Vaishampayana, repeating, with the sound of a lion, angry Kesi, impelled by time, came to the cowherd village one morning. Seeing him, all the cowherds, along with the women and infants, fled. And then his comment is, this description is from another kalpa. Later, Kesi went to the bank, river bank of Jamuna, and was killed there, for it is said in Varaha Purana, quote, there is a place 100 times purer than the Ganga where Kesi was killed. The word sva, or his own, indicates that he must protect Gokula, since he was Bhagavan, a manifester of unlimited powers. Sva can also mean, that's the Swa Gokulam. Sva can also mean his relatives, the cowherds, and Gokulam can mean the cows. The demon terrified Gokula by his neighing. Krishna called him by neighing. Kesi pursued Krishna for battle. Ajao. Krishna thought of him as insignificant. Seeing the cowherds terrified, Krishna came forward to pacify them. He went out of the village. Then, just to repeat this, he cites Vishnu Purana. Hearing the words of the people, save us, save us. Krishna spoke in a deep voice as thunder, a voice as deep as thunderclouds. Do not fear, O cowherds. Why do you have fear of Kesi? Because of him? Because of him, your courage has disappeared? What use is this wicked horse who has no strength, is proud and gallops around, taking strength from the demons? And he also quotes Harivangsha, which says, seeing Kesi, the horse demon, attack him, Krishna attacked him. Just as a cloud covers the moon, seeing Kesi approach Krishna, and thinking of Krishna as an ordinary person, the cowherds, thinking of his safety, said, "Oh, Krishna, do not approach that wicked horse. You are a child and he is unconquerable. He is Kamsa's original life heir in external form. He is the best of the king of horses, incomparable in fighting. He causes fear in all armies, is the strongest of horses, cannot be killed by any being, and is the greatest sinner." And concluding, Kesi is compared to the moon in Harivangsha because he was white. He made a loud sound like a lion roaring. Krishna, very strong, also roared. The pastimes of Krishna in Vrindavan are quite amazing. There must be some reason why these demons appear not looking like, except for Putana, looking like people, but they look like something else. A this and a that and the other thing. A serpent and a horse, so on. Of course, Vyomasura appeared like a cowherd boy. So somehow, it reminds me of Maricha, and his thing was assuming the form of a deer. But it wasn't just in relation to appearing before Ram, Lakshman, and Sita as a golden deer, but it was before that he had this. That was his thing. He had the reputation. In fact, that's one of the things that Lakshmana said. This is Maricha, because he had a reputation of. He and two others, demons, they also had what Sadhaputta calls shape-changing mystic power. So they had also assumed form of deers. The three of them would go to sages, hermitages, and kind of roam around. And when they, because deer are just roaming around, they're very innocent. And then because they were Rakshasas, suddenly they would attack them and eat them. And it was like, that was their program. So when Maricha tells this to Ravan, when Ram came to know, he came and confronted the three of us. Because I knew, this is Ram, I'm getting out of here. I ran, and because he's Ram, he didn't harm me from the backside. But the other two, they didn't know, and Ram finished them. So apparently some demons have this expertise or that expertise. It's somehow there must be some kind of mystic power that enables one to change forms. It happens. It's described in various places. Just like commonly we hear there's 8 mystic cities, and there's not one of them is assume a different form or an animal or a this or a that. But at least apparently these demons had that capacity, and they exercised it. They could have attacked Krishna in some other way or some other way or some other way, but like Vyomasura, we'll hear some more about. Vyoma means sky. So he was like, his body was the sky, but the sky can also assume some form, so he did. Kesi could assume some form, so he did. But that was his form of choice, I guess. And huge. And interesting that Sanatana Goswami, while citing something from Harivangsha, immediately then says, this is from another kalpa. So Krishna's Brajalila comes once in a day of Brahma. But apparently, presumably, the Bhagavatam, Bhagavatam is eternal. It's not that when Vyasadeva compiled Srimad Bhagavatam, it was he just pulled it out of the air or just some creative writing. Rather, he had the capacity to take verses that are eternally existing and write them. The description that Jiva Goswami gives in Tattva Sandarbha is the expanse of the Bhagavatam in the realm of the Devas is so many times greater. So if we really want to know some of those details, I guess we'd have to take birth as Devas or send a text message to them and find out what does it say about this and that. But it's eternal through sound and compiled in a written form, at least 18,000 verses. Just sharing something. There's a devotee that I haven't been in touch with for a long time. I don't know, 15 years or something. He and his wife shifted back to India, and they just yesterday contacted Premananda. But this, for those of you that understand these things, he and his wife were born in an Iyer family, worshippers of Lord Shiva. And when it was his wedding day, his wife having the same background, it was one of those torturous 3-day weddings, full of ceremony and this and that. And this devotee's grandfather, quite elderly, the whole time he was sitting to the side and just reciting something from memory, continuously. So on the third day, this devotee asked his grandfather, "What is it that you're reciting?" And from memory. And his grandfather said, "As you know, my whole life has been dedicated to reading books. I've read so many books. And because you became a member of ISKCON, I picked up a copy of Srimad Bhagavatam, translated by your founder, Acharya of ISKCON. And I found it so sweet. Since that time I began reading it, I lost the desire to read anything else." And, because people that do that kind of intense reading, their memory, there's several scientific experiments that show recitation of Sanskrit daily results in stronger memory, like 3 or 4 times greater than people that don't. So he just, it wasn't like a super duper effort. He just memorized chapter after chapter after chapter. Prabhupada writes in one place, I think it's chapter 87, or maybe it's chapter 89, someplace towards the end of Krishna book, Prabhupada writes something that this should be heard and recited regularly and memorized. So, memorizing a whole chapter of the Bhagavatam, I mean, I struggle with memorizing verses, what to speak of a chapter, what to speak of chapters. We had this very interesting experience, one more sharing, and just like I'm digressing, but one year, it was the first year, I think it was the first year that that was this Navadvip Mandal Parikrama that's still going on today, and thousands of devotees, well, not during the pandemic, but thousands of devotees would participate. But at this time, this was the first year, it was several hundred, 400 or 500, something like that. And it wasn't divided into different groups, they just had translators over here and there. So at the end of the first day, we all ended up at Jagannath Mandir. Those of you who have been to Mayapur, you know where that is, down Bhaktisiddhanta Road. And that's where we just, slept in our sleeping bags somewhere and took bucket showers somewhere. And then early in the morning, just as the sun was beginning to rise, it hadn't even risen yet, it was still that in-between space. There was some light in the sky, but the sun hadn't risen, and fog and the whole thing. Walking down a road, heading for a river, because we had to cross a river to get to the next place. And there were 3 boats waiting for us to cross the river. But as the 3 boats crossed the river, one of them sank. And the devotees got wet. So there were fewer boats than was planned. So we're on the other side with some devotees shivering in the cold morning, completely drenched and waiting for the sun to come up to dry them. So just to break the mood, Dravida began reciting from memory a whole chapter of the 10th canto. And after he would recite the verse from memory from the 10th canto, Prahladananda Swami would recite from memory the corresponding Krishna book translation. And then it went back and forth. It was really entertaining. Everyone forgot the calamity because it took much longer for the boats to cross because there was 2 instead of 3. I don't know what happened to the boat that sank. But there are devotees that have memory capacity, and memory capacity is strengthened by regular recitation. So I don't have that capacity. I know some people, I know some other people that do. But it's not a mechanical thing, it's a neurological thing that memory becomes strengthened. And when you recite regularly, what happens? It goes in. Not just your memory permits you to recall it, but it's with you. It's inside. So recite regularly, Prabhus. You want to get some affinity for Krishna. That sound vibration strengthens it. And even if you don't memorize, just regularly recite. Even if someone doesn't understand, just by hearing, it's having an amazing effect, because the sound vibration is Krishna. Krishna in sound. And as is his name, so also this Srimad Bhagavatam. So we're associating with Krishna through sound. And again and again. And attraction to the all-attractive Krishna. Any discussion. "12 minutes after the hour."
Maharaj, just want to pursue a little bit more on what I asked yesterday about the same spool of
About the same
pastimes
spool.
of
Okay.
pastimes in different days of Brahma.
You thought some more about it, right?
Yes, I was just wondering, like, if it is the same spool, like the pastimes of the Lord becomes predictable, kind of. I mean, if the details could be different, but the skeleton is the same.
Well, if you know the Lord, then it's certainly predictable.
Okay.
Is that a problem? I mean, lifting Govardhan Hill is fantastic. Let's do it again.
I mean, it's just my mind, I guess. But does that mean, like, Lord becoming predictable? Does it mean, like, we are limiting the unlimited Lord?
No.
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 It's
No. Why? How is that? He's the source of everything, and that if he does something, and then does it again and does it again, we're not limiting him. He's enjoying. Why is that limiting him? We're not imposing something on him. He's doing what he likes.
I guess the misconception is that the being predictable.
Predictable doesn't mean limited. Let's do this one. Same question, similar question. Vyas as Trikala Gya. I had this discussion with a very learned devotee one time, and he kind of got stuck, like it sounds like you're getting stuck. If Vyas already knows what's going to happen before it happens, or one who's Trikala Gya, they can see the future, does that mean we don't have free will because it's already going to happen, and they know what's going to happen? Just like the present moment, or in the past. If I know the past, does that mean because I know the past, that person didn't have free will? Or the moment, it's predictable what in the moment this person is going to do. Not just because they have their nature and they'll get angry, or they'll smile, or whatever it is, but you actually know. It doesn't take away free will. And go into the future. Doesn't mean that because you can see the future, doesn't mean their free will, it just got checked because you know the future. They have free will. And if you can see into the future, so doesn't mean free will is gone. So Krishna has free will. So another far out way of responding to your question. I can't remember the exact passage, but in Narada's description of Krishna's departure from Vrindavan to go to Mathura, there's a very, very interesting way that he describes it. And then he says, Narada says, then after some time Krishna returns to Vrindavan. The villagers completely forgot that he left, and then he leaves again, and he forgot that he already left already. And he does it multiple times because it's rasa for him and for them. And he's enjoying rasa, so it's not like we're limiting him, or he has limited himself. He has total freedom. There's no limitation of the unlimited. So hit the delete button.
So, I guess he may be predictable, but he's still the independent Lord. That's how I understand this.
He may be predictable, but what?
But he's still the independent Lord, and he can change in a way that he
can not do it too. He can do again or not do it again. He can skip some pastimes and do some other ones. I mean, there's no limit. It's rasa. It's exchange of rasa. That's the essence. And it can look like this, or it can look like that, or he can do it the same thing in a totally different way. There's n number of ways he can do. But if he likes, then he can do with some variation. Or skip it, and do it some other way, and just stimulate rasa some other way. I mean, when I'm singing this song in the morning, Jamuna Tira Vanachari, I'm looking at your painting. And it's in Ram's Leela. The Leela is very different. They're not at the banks of the river Jamuna. They're the bank of Ganga. So it's a different Lord with a different pastime, but it's a similar mood, and then he's enjoying. He's enjoying crossing anyway. It's the same spool. Different Lord with some variety. No limits. Okay. Over there.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. So you were talking about memorizing the verses. So I would like to know where I can start from, Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam. Is there
Well, you start from Bhagavad Gita.
Bhagavad.
You know that. But that's that's a routine answer. But please know that when Prabhupada started the devotees in Krishna consciousness, it was Bhagavad Gita, and then again Bhagavad Gita. And then in course of time, as Bhagavatam became available, the morning class was Srimad Bhagavatam, the evening class was Bhagavad Gita. And, commonly more people attend the morning class and less people attend the evening class. So, the bread and butter was Bhagavatam. And then, the ice cream and whipped cream was Bhagavad Gita. Or the other way around. But, so it's... you can say, start with Bhagavad Gita, or you can, proceed with both. But ideal is whatever you do, study under a teacher. I mean, you can read, anybody can read, but, for more careful study under a teacher that's a gifted teacher. That's ideal. One or the other.
Okay.
All right?
Okay. So Maharaj, there are some important verses. So do you recommend doing all the verses or just those important ones?
All the verses or what?
Or just those important ones?
Start with the important ones.
Okay. Okay, Maharaj. Thank you, Maharaj.
Okay.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. When you were describing Krishna killing the Kesi demon, and after that pastime is over, you mentioned that the place where Kesi demon is killed is 10,000 times more holier than the Ganges river. So I was just reflecting on some of the demons that Lord Krishna kills, and there is this benediction. For example, in the case of Putana, he awards her the place of mother in the spiritual world. So similarly, in the case of Kesi, we see this benediction. So I was wondering if every demon that Krishna kills, there is some benediction in these forms that Krishna gives to these demons.
Your question is there a universal benediction that Krishna gives to the demons he kills?
Yes.
Liberation.
Apart from liberation,
Why apart from liberation? You want something more than that?
And from an earthly perspective.
From an earthly perspective. Well, it's beyond earthly perspective. They get liberation. Their material existence is over. Why have an earthly benediction? I'm confused by your question. Are you clear what your question is?
Yes, Maharaj.
I'm not.
Like, we say that the Ganges River is the holiest of all the rivers. So I was wondering, what made Krishna give this benediction to Kesi, who had an evil intention of killing him? He's giving him that benediction of making that place much more holier than the Ganges River.
Oh. You have an answer?
I was thinking maybe Prabhu is thinking that what is in it for us with every killing of the demon?
Like, what is an auspicious result aside from their liberation?
Yeah. What is the auspicious result that Krishna gives apart from liberation?
Oh. That's in Krishna's hand. He's not obliged. Sometimes this, sometimes that, sometimes nothing, sometimes 10 things. And this is Vishnu Purana, it's not Bhagavad Purana. It's quoted by our Acharya, so we can take it as authoritative. But it doesn't carry the same weight as Bhagavatam. So, but that's a separate response to your question. Krishna can do whatever he likes. That's how we can take it. He wanted, and so he did. Beyond the liberation of Kesi, the place becomes very special because Krishna wanted. All right?
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks for clarifying the question. Online? Let's go.
This question is from Hema Suryavanshi Mataji. Vrajavasi always remember Krishna in danger and problems. So the teaching here is that we should remember and pray to Krishna in problem. On other hand, the feeling is Krishna is not the order supplier of prayers. So how to understand? Is it okay to pray to Krishna for all small and big problems, or we should not disturb Krishna for small problems of daily life? Instead, we can take his shelter in big dangers.
And just go to him when you have big ones. Well, he's not our order supplier is one idea, and the other is he's our protector, and that's another idea. And they're not. The order supplier is, a mood, and the mood of one seeking shelter and protection, that's a different mood. I want, that's the order supplier, and Krishna's got his big warehouse and he can supply stuff. Then it's another, as he's our protector. It's one of the essential elements of existence, certainly human existence, is protection. And Krishna is our protector. So we look to Krishna to be our protector. And it's not to look to Krishna as our order supplier. It's to look to Krishna as one's protector. The mood is different. And it's an impetus of service. And in the mood of service, it's not like I'm bartering with Krishna. I'll do some service and you protect me. It's just the mood of, it's one of the limbs of surrender, which is different than seeing Krishna as an order supplier. The mood of appealing to Krishna is at issue. So, yes, it's okay. And even if you do ask Krishna for stuff, go to Krishna for stuff. If that's the space of consciousness that one's in, you ask Krishna for stuff. But that's not the highest position, so keep going up. And Krishna, you supply whatever you feel is appropriate. I'm seeking your shelter and protection. The mood is what's critical here. Next.
This question is from Uttama Bhaktadas Prabhu. Srimad Bhagavatam is a commentary on Vedanta Sutras, and Srimad Bhagavatam is pastimes and history in detail. Does it mean Vedanta Sutra are also in the same or similar format? Sutras are usually compressed.
Yes. Sutras are usually compressed, and to understand the sutras, they're explained. And the sutras are explained in the form of histories, which have details, and packed within those details is the explanation of the sutra. But it's not, this linear encyclopedia kind of thing. It's expansive and very involved kind of thing. But within the Bhagavatam, the commentary of Vedanta Sutra is there. And one of the best ways to get the correlation between Vedanta Sutra and Bhagavatam is Tattva Sandarbha, because that's essentially what's being done in Vedanta Sutra. Excuse me, in the Sandarbhas, in an organized fashion. Next.
This question is from Amara Mataji. If we want to do some seva with nice quality, but somehow quality is not coming, then when should we stop endeavoring and just offer it as it is, knowing that the quality is not good?
Why stop endeavoring? If the quality isn't there, you don't stop serving. And so you're serving without quality, and you continue to endeavor for quality. And the essence of how quality comes is Krishna decorates with quality. And the decorator is reciprocating with bhakti. So look to bhakti. The purpose of serving Krishna with quality is for Krishna's pleasure, and you stay with that. You don't stop doing that. And you offer whatever you have, saying to Krishna, I have no good qualities, but you're very kind. Please accept my offering. And if you so desire, please gift me with the qualities to do this in a quality way. And you continue. That's it? Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.